Welcome back to ABC News Live reports. Sean Diddy Combs is facing new sexual assault allegations. The LA Sheriff's Department says that it's investigating a report from an alleged victim in Florida. That alleged victim has identified himself as music producer Jonathan Hay in social media posts that have since been removed. A spokesperson for Combs has not responded to ABC News' request for comment. Combs is currently serving a federal prison sentence after he was convicted of transportation to engage in prostitution earlier this year. Let's bring in ABC News legal contributor and trial attorney Brian Buckmire for more on this. So, Brian, this accuser says he's already listed as John Doe in a civil case against Combs. So talk about how that could impact this investigation now that he's also has identified himself, too.
Yeah, so the only impact that I can see on this investigation will now be that law enforcement would know who to speak with. But he already reached out to law enforcement in Florida that's been working in conjunction with LA where the alleged crime has occurred. And so the impact of him making notice that he also has a civil case doesn't really affect one or the other. If anything, it affects the potential civil case, because with a typical civil case, you just have lawyers doing the investigation. Now you have the full force and power of the LAPD doing part of the investigation, and their criminal investigation could help create more information that he could go forward in a civil case.
So CJ Wallace, the son of rapper Notorious B.I.G., filed a countersuit against Hay. Hay claims that Wallace and Combs took part in an alleged assault in 2021. Wallace calls Hay's allegations a, quote, calculated smear campaign. Talk to us how that kind of factors into this case.
Yeah, so here you have a cross-complaint from a civil matter where you have an original case where Hay is saying that not only Sean Combs, but CJ Wallace, the son of the Notorious B.I.G., was a part of these sexual allegations. In terms of them going back and forth, you'll see a cross-complaint in the sense of filing for damages for either claim. You'll go through the typical process of sitting down for depositions, accounting for discovery that may come about. But because Sean Combs has been tried for a federal crime, is currently now in Fort Dix, New Jersey, serving a 50-month sentence. This civil lawsuit, along with many others, have been on pause. And so these countersuits and original suit may just sit in limbo for some time.
Right. So, okay, just talk to us a little bit about that 101 on the basics of these cases. Combs is facing multiple civil cases. How's the burden of proof different in a criminal trial compared to a civil trial?
Yeah, so for criminal trial, you've probably heard it on a lot of TV shows, proof beyond a reasonable doubt, amount of information that a regular, ordinary person with the duty of being on a jury would consider to be appropriate or important to determining whether or not a person had done something where there is no reasonable doubt to disagree with it. With a civil case, it's a much lower standard of a preponderance of the evidence, or in more layman's terms, more likely than not, the measurement we as attorneys typically use for that is 51%. And so for a civil case, you're just saying, hey, is there a 51% chance that Sean Combs allegedly committed these acts? If so, he would be liable. In the federal case, which was criminal, that was proof beyond a reasonable doubt, where he is found guilty of those two counts you mentioned earlier, and is serving a 50-month sentence in Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Brian Buckmire, our expert on all things legal and all things Diddy as well. Appreciate you, Brian, as always.
My pleasure.